And now more Operation Freedom with your host, Dr. Dave Janda, on Southeast Michigan's conservative powerhouse, Wham Talk 1600.
Welcome back to Operation Freedom, folks. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our Freedom Bunker here at Wham Talk 1600. We're here available for you every Sunday, 2 to 5 Eastern. Again, you can stream the show live at DaveJanda.com. Also, you can go to whamradio.com. We are also available 24/7 on our YouTube channel, Operation Freedom. Also available 24/7 on the DaveJanda.com website. We upload information on a regular basis on the public side, but we also have the subscription service with extra shows, extra content, extra analysis, and all the archives of this show all the way back to its inception of October 2010. All the archives of our WTF show, of our Insider Insight show, of our Department of Advanced Research show, and of our contributing editors. All available, 30 cents a day, $9 a month. You can sign up for a month if you don't like it, get rid of it. Not sure why you would, because I assure you the information you get you will never see, hear, read, or experience in the bought-off, lamestream fake media. One of the issues that we have focused on since the inception of Operation Freedom in October of 2010 has been your financial and economic freedom. We have brought a number of courageous individuals forward to speak about what's happening behind the curtain to adversely impact your financial and economic freedom. I must say you will not see any of those guests on Fox Business News, what I call CNBS. You will not see them interviewed in Bloomberg or Reuters. And the reason is because the information they present is information that, if you will, the lamestream media tentacle of the deep state does not want you to know. They want you in harm's way on many different fronts, including your financial and economic well-being. I'm honored to have back someone who has incredible insight and incredible analysis, and she's an outstanding writer. She goes by the moniker of Trader Steph. Beginning in 1996, Steph initiated a career spanning 14 years within the New York City investment banking industry. Kind of the belly of the beast, folks. She acquired a diverse skill set in human resourcing, technology and communication, training, education and development, business analysis, and global risk. She began investing in precious metals in 1999 while following market trends post-dot-com bubble and after 9/11. She then left the banking industry in 2009 after 5 years in global risk management at Citigroup. Steph has developed and hosted a live Precious Hour webinar, if you will, specializing in gold and silver and the mining equities, combined with research of industry fundamentals, financial markets, global news events, geopolitics, and monetary policy, otherwise known as what she calls fusion analysis. She has a blog site, www.tradersteph.wordpress.com. She writes on a number of different platforms. We're going to speak about just an absolutely brilliant and insightful article she recently published by the name of Dorothy Silver Shoes and the Gold to Silver Ratio Fallacy. It's my honor to welcome back Trader Steph. Steph, welcome back to Operation Freedom.
Hey, Dr. Janda, thanks for having me back.
Well, always a pleasure, Steph, and we always get such positive feedback when you come on the show. Steph, let's go right to it because I'll tell you the article analysis, because yours are always more than just articles. They're articles, they're analysis, they're deep in analysis that you wrote. Dorothy Silver Shoes and Gold to Silver Ratio Fallacy was phenomenal. Now, many people are saying, wait a minute, you mean like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz? What does that have to do with gold and silver and my financial freedom? Steph hit it because this is brilliant.
All right, we got a lot to go through. Thanks, Dr. Janda, for the kind words. So let's hit it. So the gold to silver ratio, otherwise known as the GSR, represents the number of silver ounces it takes to buy an ounce of gold.
Okay.
Well, if the gold price is $1,500 an ounce and silver is $15, the ratio is 100. And so it would take 100 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. So that's basically the gold to silver ratio. Now, where did it come from? Well, it originates from the amount of gold versus silver within the Earth's crust. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the number varies. It depends on who you ask and what point in history, but it's believed it's somewhere between 9 and 16. Okay.
9 and 16. And we're okay. And right now, where are we?
We're up in the mid-90s.
Okay, that doesn't add up then, right?
No, it doesn't. We're going to get to that.
Okay, good.
So when the ratio was really high and out of whack, as it is now, that's supposed to be a good time to buy silver or sell your gold to buy silver.
Mm-hmm.
But now gold, almost without exception, takes the lead in a price rally, like now, and silver eventually follows, and then it outperforms gold on a percentage basis for a period of time. Then it pulls back, but before gold reaches its high, then the GSR is not the best metric to decide when to buy or sell. No matter whether you're trading paper or if you're stacking physical. So stick to the charts for low-risk positions. That's the gold-silver chart. So that's where the Wizard of Oz comes into this story.
Yeah,
very interesting, right?
Yeah, now give us a little history lesson on this, because this is fascinating.
Okay. So in 1939, the Wizard of Oz movie depicted Dorothy being swept away from her family on a farm in Kansas to the magical land of Oz by a tornado.
Right.
And during her journey, she makes some friends to help her find a wizard that's supposed to help her get home, and in turn, they're going to get what they want. But few are aware that in the original book from 1900, it's named The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by Fred Baum. Dorothy's slippers are made of silver, not red rubies. The entire book served as a political allegory for gold and silver's battle to become the primary American currency in the early 1900s. So during the late 1800s, the U.S. was on a bimetallic standard, and the GSR stood at about 15. Now, the GSR was a really big discussion point at that time, and it became one of the underlying themes in the book. So there's 4 points about this. Dorothy's slippers. So the whole book was a metaphor about the populist movement that was a rising political force in the late 1890s.
Sounds familiar, Steph.
Yeah, right. And it was a critique on the national debates over monetary policy. So it's similar to the deplorable Trump supporters of today.
Right.
Isn't it funny?
Right.
Yeah, so the populist movement was a rising third party. They were angry, disenfranchised, quote, plain people, unquote, as they called them, like farmers, factory workers, laborers, in the heartland of the country, versus the liberal and white-collar metropolis population elsewhere, who wanted to drain the swamp from the deep state and the powers that be and the ruling elite. So the deplorables wanted fundamental economic and political change, and they believed that adopting a silver standard, along with the existing gold standard,
the yellow brick road,
yeah, that's right, would grow the economy and provide low inflation and create jobs. So Dorothy was a stand-in for the average American, plain Jane deplorable, right?
Right.
And the silver shoes represented the late 1890s free silver movement, and the yellow brick road was the gold standard. So the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, who was actually the Tin Woodman, the Scarecrow had a terrible sense of inferiority complex and self-doubt. And the liberal metropolises saw American farmers as ignorant and irrational. So the Scarecrow was seeking a brain in the movie. And the Tin Man represented the factory worker, the laborer, and they felt dehumanized as the laborers were being turned into machines during the first Industrial Revolution. So the Tin Man was seeking a heart in the movie. And then the best part is the lion.
Right.
Because William McKinney was running for president.
Right.
And he pledged to support the American workers, and he wanted high tariffs.
Oh, this sounds familiar. It's
It's just amazing, right? How history repeats itself, and it rhymes, too. He wanted to make foreign manufactured goods unattractive, and he supported the gold standard, ringing bells of Trump and deplorables and Judy Shelton being nominated for the Fed.
Yes.
Just amazing. So his opponent, William Jennings, was the Cowardly Lion. And he was famous for his Cross of Gold speech, and he favored monetary policy of free silver. So the lion was seeking courage in the movie. Now, Dorothy initially followed the road to get her way back home, but eventually discovered it was a waste of time, and the silver slippers were the secret to getting her back home.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. And so, look, the movie, they switched it to red shoes because back then they had just turned to color film in the movies, and they wanted to highlight the red against the yellow. And if you're from the liberal arts, you know the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. But the most significant difference in the movie is that in the original book, the movie portrays the story of the dream. and her family and friends show up as characters. And the book, on the other hand, leads the reader to believe that Dorothy's journey is real and everything actually happened. So instead of a dream, the Land of Oz is a magical place that exists somewhere over the rainbow. But here's the fallacy of the gold to silver ratio.
And by the way, in the movie, you got the little dude behind the curtain whipping all the levers around, right?
Yeah, he realized that he was a fraud.
It's incredible, Steph.
It's incredible.
And by the way, you know, the book was written around 1900, right?
That's right.
Okay. And the movie came out in 1939, right?
Yeah.
So what happened in 1913 that, well, there was a lot that happened in 1913, but one of which was the creation of the Fed and their fiat money system, right?
Yeah.
Which was not very friendly to gold or silver.
No, it wasn't, because the dollar's lost 95%, a little bit more than that, 95% of its value ever since.
Which is one of the reasons maybe why the slippers turned from silver to ruby between 1900 and 1939.
Yeah, well, you know, it's Hollywood, and they got rid of the political flavor of the film. And I'm not really sure what was going on, the underlying factors with the public and the public discussion, but it was just before World War II.
Right.
As well. And, you know, we had the Great Depression, and they confiscated gold. So I think there were a lot of factors playing into that.
So let's talk about, you were getting into the gold-silver ratio fallacy and how it reminded you of Dorothy's dream. Take it. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Okay. So the GSR pundits remind me of Dorothy's dream, you know, versus the real tornado that knocked her out. And then she realized it was only a dream to be a time-traveling bottom and top picker in the land of cotton-picking dreamers. You know, this is funny.
Right.
So the GSR really has no predictive metric. On really long-term charts, it looks good, but when you start breaking it down, you see the problem. So many analyses depend on it religiously, but it practically has no power mathematically speaking. So when it's out of whack, it only tells you that it's out of whack. It doesn't say that it can't get more out of whack.
Right.
And it doesn't tell you which metal is going to go first. And it can come close together when the gold price drops, just as easily when the price of silver is rising. So, but what we do know is that over a period of time, it finally normalized. So there are a lot of variables that contribute to the GSR, not to mention the manipulation ghost, but probably the most important thing is that 57% of silver demand is for industrial production.
No, that's key. That's key.
Yeah, electronics, everything you can think of. So there's pressure put on the silver price, and that's what's occurring right now because the global economy isn't going too hot.
Yeah, true.
Right. The GSR, its last high was 99.5 back in January of 1991, and right now we're sitting at 93.5. So we haven't hit an all-time high yet. So the reality is that we could go well beyond 100 on the GSR.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no point in looking at it. You just wait to see, well, what's going to move when. So, look, there's no doubt that the price of silver is trading near its average cost of production. You know, it's a good deal. It's bottoming out somewhere here. And there are numerous anomalies on the chart. So, like, in 2001, when silver put in a $4 low, it traded within a $1 range for 2 years, but the GSR soared 20 points. In 2009, 2010, when the price of silver nearly doubled, the GSR was stuck in a 10-point range. It did nothing. And now in 2019, when you look at the chart, the price is slowly trading within a $2 range, but the GSR has spiked like 10 points.
Right.
And take note that the price that was trading at the 2016 low is the same level in May of 2019, and the GSR is now at least 10 points higher than it was in 2016. So, it's just not really the best thing to look at, but it does help really long term. Now, since 2015, I've been saying on numerous occasions, there's only one number that matters in silver, and everyone needs to focus on it. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be stacking now, and I'm not making any recommendations one way or the other, but 2150, 2149 to be specific, because that was the breakout point when silver catapulted to its 2011 high. And it was the resistance level to beat since 2014. So when that's taken out with conviction, that will likely be the sweet spot opportunity everybody's looking for.
Let's turn to gold. your analysis there. Because I have to say, Steph, when you were on this show several visits ago, you foresaw a summer gold rally, okay? A lot of folks were not foreseeing any kind of rally in gold, and you said, well, watch the summer, it's going to happen. And you called it, Steph, and it's hit.
Yeah, since the 1346 high in February 19th to be exact, just before the recent correction, I've beaten the drums on every interview or article I've written about spring seasonality. And almost without exception, springtime is volatile and choppy until early to midsummer, and short of some major news event dominating the markets. And there was a news event that happened. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I also noted that if you looked at the all-in cost of production on gold per ounce, you take the 5 top miners in the world, it was somewhere between $1,250 and $1,280 an ounce. That was probably a good level of support during that correction. Mm-hmm. On May 2nd, we hit a low of $1,266. And that was the bottom of a falling wedge pattern that formed with the pullback. On May 19th, we did an interview, and I summarized it at the end. I said, we've been basing out at the bottom of the falling wedge, and that's bullish. The low printed at 1266. All the technicals are bullish and lined up. We got a rising price and rising volumes. Something's going to happen in June or July short of a major news event.
And that's a direct quote for what you said on this show. That's true.
Yeah. And so June 5th, I posted a chart on Twitter, and folks should follow my Twitter feed because you get some real-time charts. You don't see my articles, and then they end up in the articles later. But the president threatened Mexico with tariffs. That was it. And then gold created, if you imagine a set of stair steps. Well, there's a stair-stepping action in a price chart, and then there's the Swiss stair. The difference is steps are just steps, but Swiss stairs are almost mathematically equal between each step. And that tells you that there's probably institutional accumulation going on. They send something up. That morphs into a inverse head and shoulders for a few days, and then that broke out, and on June 18th, I put up on the Twitter feed, if you were paying attention, there's more major accumulation going on with huge volumes on the 1-minute chart. And then on June 19th, 40 minutes before the FOMC meeting, I said, look, it's a toss-up. Chart looks great. We got a pennant pattern coming out of the falling wedge that we broke out of. Let's see what happens at 2 o'clock. Well, FOMC, pal, the case for additional accommodation has strengthened. So you've been saying that for 5 months, but in any event, what happened in the after hours is what was important because there was a major short squeeze in the Asian markets, and the price spiked up to $13.93 an ounce when I was looking at the chart, with 4 million contracts being traded on 1-minute spikes. It was just insane. So the next day I put out an article. I said, look, don't be shocked.
Right, true.
Don't whine if a pullback occurs and that 1380 is tested. It's got to be tested again. Well, on June 30th, that's exactly what happened, and that was after the G20. It's the troops, and the president walked across the line between North Korea and South Korea. Everything was fine. Well, as soon as the market opens that Sunday night, the price fell, and it went to, what was that price? It was $13.81 and some pennies. It was right on it, and it pivoted, and we've come back up, and now we've been chopping sideways. We got another pennant that's generally bullish. Maybe a little more consolidation going on here for a little bit. We just got to keep your eye on it. But pennants, flag pennants, are generally bullish. So let's see what happens. There's a lot going on in the world. Any news event could set it off, and we'll break out of the pennant. Then we go up into 1,500 in the low 1,500s, and we get up near the 2013 breakdown. And that'll be the next level of resistance, right around, what's that number? 1,530. So 1,433 is the current resistance. That goes back to the first high that we pivoted off of after the 2013 crash in the price. So that's a resistance. We get through that 1,433, spike out of the pennant, and then we're going to see, the low 1,500s. And then we've got to fight some more resistance.
Now, folks, we're speaking with Trader Steph. You can follow her. Her Twitter feed is phenomenal. Just Trader Steph on Twitter. Now, website. What's the situation with the website, your website?
TraderSteph.wordpress.com.
Okay.
And, I get the articles posted up there within a couple of days after it's posted on the internet.
Now, Steph, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but many times when gold starts to move and silver has been languishing, it tends after a certain point of time to almost have a gravitational pull up on the price of silver as well eventually. Am I wrong in that assessment?
Yeah, that's what happens. Gold tends to rally first, and then silver eventually follows because it's got that monetary aspect to it. Mm-hmm. But like right now, there's issues with the global economy kind of getting a little soft, so there's not as much demand, or at least they perceive lessening of demand for silver, so the price kind of can remain stagnant and not move. And that'll shake itself out soon. All we need is one more headline from the FOMC or, a war breaks out with Iran and forget about it.
And Steph, when the Fed, let's talk about the Fed and their positioning. So some folks are saying, well, we think the Fed's going to cut rates. We have other people saying, nah, they're going to hold firm. Just 6 months ago, everybody was saying, as the summer progresses, they're going to be raising rates. Where do you see the Fed and this if taffy pull that's occurring between President Trump and the Fed going?
There's a good possibility they're cut in July. June was a toss-up. Some very prominent people called for June, but it was a hard call. And I thought that they were waiting for the G20. Mm-hmm. So the G20 was like a love affair for a few days, right, which is why gold fell back a bit. But then that's all shifted. Like within the last day, there's a battle going on between China and the Trump administration right now again, even though the Mexico tariff thing got straightened out. But I think what's going on is that, consumer sentiment is starting to kind of flatten out, but sales have not fell through the floor like industrial production is beginning to show some really bad signs globally as well as in the United States. So they're looking at the metrics and they're waiting for something to really force them to make this cut because they want to save up ammunition for the real downturn because they always come, and we've been in a business cycle that's way overdue.
Steph, I want to touch on something that I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, but I'd like your insight. As I mentioned in your introduction, you spent time in the Wall Street arena, let's say, okay, in big financial circles, right? Yep. There has been somebody who has come forward recently, actually in the past week, who was arrested as this billionaire, multi-billionaire from Wall Street that was involved in hedge funds and investing and the like. And the reason why I bring this up is I have spoken to a number of different individuals who had more than tangential involvement on Wall Street, right? And when I mentioned this person's name, I said, so this guy, multi-billionaire, this guy's a pretty big whale. And supposedly he was investing a lot of money for a lot of big players. What do you know about this guy? And every single one of these people, and I haven't talked to you about this before, but every single one of these other people said, Dave, when it comes to from in the investment world and financial world, I don't know where this guy came from. Steph, did you ever? What's your take?
I don't know either, but it goes deep. There's big problems and arrests coming down the road, and it's not going to be pretty.
It does go deep, Steph. Steph, how can folks follow you?
Trader Steph, and that ends with an S on Twitter, or go to my website, tradersteph.wordpress.com. Thanks, Dr. Jana.
Steph, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. You have provided incredible analysis on a regular basis. Folks, best thing you can do, go to Steph's WordPress site, tradersteph.wordpress.com. Also, go to her Twitter feed. Chock full of great information. Folks, you're listening to Operation Freedom. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our Freedom Bunker here at Wham Talk 1600.